let's talk about it, because I got time today, and it's St. Patrick's Day. So I'm going to have to expose all this stuff about St. Patrick's Day again, because everybody coming at me crazy on my video about the truth of the melanin and St. Patrick's Day and what really happened, and they want to call me all kinds out of my name, just try to discredit me, try to make me feel like I'm stupid, like I don't know what I'm talking about. I know more than what y'all know about these holidays and these so-called traditions. And so let's start with busting a bubble that St. Patrick wasn't even named Patrick, that he's not even identified and recognized as a real saint in the Catholic Church. Like, he's not even recognized to this day. Not to even mention, the color wasn't even green, it was blue. It started off with blue. And then, not to even talk about the truth of it, that it is about the Aboriginal African tribe named the Twa tribes, who were short and who were migrated from northern Africa all the way to Ireland, and are the aboriginals of the Ireland. Even they're called leprechauns, as like Americans being the aboriginals of that land. And the so-called drink that they like to drink on this day, the beer, is from Egypt. It's from the Egyptians, yep. And not to even speak about the favorite drink of the Irish and the Scottish, the whiskey. Yeah, your favorite Jack Daniels was created by a Hebrew so-called black man. So I'm about to expose all the truth about St. Patrick's Day, because I'm about tired of them talking to me crazy, coming at me sideways in my comments on my video that's almost 10K views about the truth of St. Patrick's Day. And it wasn't really revealing too much. I just did a collage of different videos that was on Snapchat for witnesses that the truth of this holiday is about the genocide and massacre of the Twa people, the African tribe that were short in height, and they were from northern Africa and migrated to Ireland. They are aboriginals to Ireland. They're of African descent in Ireland, and that St. Patrick's was the one that said he got rid of the snakes, meaning that he got rid of the kundalini energy that was there. He got rid of the children of God who are wise like serpents and harmless as doves. And because, like, I know more about these holidays and about these so-called traditions of man's, and they act like we don't know what we're talking about. They've been asking for the resources. They've been asking for my sources. They've been talking about, oh, that's not true, because y'all want to believe what man said up in the school, the same oppressors that stole land, identity, heritage. And even it's connected to the Bible. They got the gold and the rainbow from the Bible. Everything they got was stolen, just like the different Caucasians do. So they come on my comments talking really bold, talking really crazy, and it's baffling to me that even our own people doesn't support the different things that's coming out, the truth. And we exposing all truths all 2024. I love God with all my heart, but I ride hard for my ancestors, because I know they blood, tear, and sweat for these different countries and for these different traditions to be sacred and to expose the truth of it. And so we over here celebrating genocide, over there celebrating other different traditions and not knowing what you're celebrating. And at the end of the day, the energy gonna go back to where it really came from. But still, you need to know, next time you celebrating St. Patrick's Day, know that you're celebrating the genocide of my people, the creation of my people, the culture of my people, and also the success, because we got a lot to deal with behind this holiday. And we could be Irish as well, the original Irish, the original Scottish, and I got proof of that as well. And I even know in my heritage I am, because my mother's name is, her family name is Kelly. There even is a Kelly clan. Come on now. And that's a Scottish name. On my dad's side, it's Monroe. That's a Scottish name and a Moorish name. And we know the Moorish ran up in Europe. And Ireland and Europe is a name after a goddess. Come on now. Come on now. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's get it, period.
St. Patrick's real name was Maewyn Succut. Maewyn sound like a female name to me if you ask me, but his name was Maewyn Succut or Succat. There is evidence of him being born in Scotland or in Wales, but actually he was born from Britain, and they said that he got kidnapped on a ship that was, because Scotland and Britain, if you know about their history, they always been beefing, right? So they had kidnapped certain people from Ireland or from Britain for Ireland slaves and hostages. So they said that he was kidnapped when he was 16, brought to Ireland. They don't say what he was doing in Ireland, if he was working the fields or anything. And so back then, you know, slavery didn't have no color. Anybody could go through slavery. So Yes, he was a Gentile, or he was a Caucasian. So I don't even know why we called him Gentile, because these people ain't been gentle. They've been gentle to my people. So I don't know why we call him Gentile, but that's what the Bible calls him. That's what the Most High calls him. So we're going to call him Gentile. And so when he was in Ireland, he went ahead and escaped and made it to France. In France, he went and studied in a monastery, and he wanted to become, a Catholic and teach Christianity to other people. So they saying that, but he's not even identified as a saint in the saint catalog of saints. Of Catholic saints, that's supposed to have ministry and who's supposed to have the title to go around doing these things. So he ended up going back to Ireland after he reacquainted with his family in Britain, and they was like, don't leave, we don't want you to go. But he left anyway because he had a calling from God, so he said. So he ended up going back to Ireland, and when he went to Ireland, he was basically causing havoc, trying to oppress certain people with religion. You know how they do it to this day. And yes, I'm going to say it, that religion has been used to oppress certain people and used as a religious witchcraft to brainwash certain people to believe a certain thing when the truth is something totally different. It's kind of throwing up distractions, throwing up programming to get people to be submissive. And I had to say it because, I had some Christian come over to my page talking about, you witch, you posted this video to come against Christianity. I just want to let y'all know, God nor did Messiah created Christianity. Christ came from charis, which means anointed mummy, which was an original Hebrew. They were original Hebrew brothers, and they were Nazarites, which means watchmen. And so there wasn't no Christians. Messiah wasn't a Christian in the Bible. And so no one's here to discredit Christians on my first video, but I will today. And so y'all gonna be real silent when I come and bring this truth and this evidence, like always, because y'all don't want to research for yourselves. I had some people coming back on my videos talking about, still no sources. Like, Google is open 24/7, ma'am. You can go in there and look, but y'all don't want to be told the truth. Y'all want to just go off what y'all know in them Freemason schools and your Freemason bloodlines that took over other people's identity and just run with it. But no, we're not doing that right now. We're not doing that here. And I'm here to reveal and speak all truths. So he went over there talking about he was going to convert people and the pagans. And so the pagans means like, it's not even multiple gods worship really in pagans. The original pagans were dark skin colored people as well. And pagan was like, there's monotheism, there's other types of different religions, atheism, omonism, that have worship of multiple gods. And then there's pagans who literally just honor or worship nature. So they said that they were doing that over there, and they wanted to put certain things as witchcraft. And so they went ahead and was trying to convert the people of the land from Celtic to, from Greek Celtic to Catholic and Christianity. And so I don't even know why would the Catholic be converting them to Christianity when the Catholic don't even mess with the Christianity for real, even though that's their mother. But that's one thing or another. So, apparently he drove the snakes away from Ireland. So there's no snakes in Ireland to this day. So I guess he could get a point for that. But I read something that said there was never snakes in Ireland. So he didn't really banish them. And the whole time he said he banished them, he was up on a mountain, and he said he fasted for 40 days, just trying to be like Messiah. And he said he fasted for 40 days. And all the time he was up there on that island, he wasn't beefing with no snakes. He was beefing with crows. He was literally fighting crows on this mountain, So why didn't you banish the crows? Why you only banish the snakes? And why you only banish in Ireland? If you died March 17th in Britain, why you ain't go back to Britain and complete the mission? Why do you get the snakes out of Britain? So it's not adding up. And so snakes was a metaphor for the genocide that he was doing in Ireland. So they said that he was really coming against the Druids, which the Druids were certain Ireland, Scotland people, clans, and cultures who did the different pagan worship and who had different gods, the Norse gods, the Celtic gods, the certain African gods and stuff. So they said that he was beefing with the Druids the whole time, and to find out that he actually killed over 800 Druids in that land, and he even set a fire. He set a fire on the land that day because he was going to have a book out, a battle of the books with the Druids. So they had their book, or I guess their book of shadows, or their book that they thought was like their God book, and he had the Bible. And he said whatever burns, is not the true book. And so, they had their festivals, their fire festivals, because this is the March 17th is all around the spring equinox, which brings in the new spring year, the new year, the real spring, the real new year. And even in the Bible, it speaks of the real new year is in April as well, or in March through April, Abib, right? And so, they would do their certain festival, they would do their certain worship, their rituals and different things, honoring nature, bringing in the new year, bringing in the spring. So they had little different festivals. And so he lit his fire in opposition to them having their fire, and saying, if you put your book on the Bible, on the fire, and I put the Bible on the fire, whichever burns, whichever, survives is the true book. And so basically having a God battle, just like they had in the Bible with Jezebel and Baal and Yahweh. So, he was trying to match a whole lot of things within the Bible. I guess he was just so, astonished by the book after he escaped from Ireland and went to France to study. And so he wanted to match him and do a lot of things to prove that he was a true saint without the acknowledgement. So they put the Bibles over the fire. The Druids' Bible burned up, and they said that the Bible, the Holy Bible, actually didn't burn at all and was floating or was in water or something like that, and wasn't harmed, wasn't damaged. People are actually burning Bibles to this day, so I don't know the legitimacy of that claim. However, that's what he was doing when he was lighting the fire up there in Ireland. So then he was converting people, and he said he converted two Druid princesses. However, after they got their baptism, they died. So there was rumors going around like, okay, he done killed these two princesses by some baptism that he did. And they were saying, the people who was the followers of St. Patrick was saying, no, he baptized them because they were on their way to heaven. So they needed to be baptized because he didn't want them to go to hell. So because they were on their way to die, he went ahead and did a baptism real quick so they can go to heaven. But they saying that he was perfectly healthy and they were Druid princesses, so they wouldn't even need to be, converted or anything like that. And I got this off a Druid website of the true people, the true Druids. That was, they had a whole paragraph of what he did in Ireland, the accounts that he did, and, we don't know what he did because we're just told, he was just a saint and he converted. He got the snakes out of Ireland and everything like that. But yeah, they said what he was doing in there wasn't all righteous. So after that, I don't know what he did after his life, but he ended up dying March 17th. They said he lived to 111. And there's no clear evidence on how he died, and it was from 100 to 111, so there's no clear date on how he died. I'm starting to think, was this even a real person? He has a female name. There's no evidence of him being a saint in the Catholic Church. He if he was in Ireland, he did a lot of messed up stuff to the people in Ireland. He did a crusade against, just like Christopher Columbus coming to America and saying, this is a new land and he's going to convert everybody to Christianity. He did that in Ireland with the Tuatha people who were there, who were living off the land and nature, and they thought of them as leprechauns because they called them leprechauns because their names was Lara Cons. And they used herbal medicine for healing. They did a lot of things with nature, connecting with the nature spirits, connecting with the ancestor spirits, connecting with the Most High in their own way, their own sacred way. And so to them, it was really magical. And so, they called them leprechauns. And then they thought that Ireland had gold, just as they thought America had gold. That's why they came out here. That's why they sent certain people to certain places to conquer the people, so put the original aboriginals in submission, answering to the queen, and bring the gold back to Britain. So that's why they always have the leprechaun saying, "Where's me gold?" And it's also connection to the Bible, because the rainbow was what the Most High put in the sky when the earth was flooded the first time. And the rainbow was a symbol of it won't be flooded again, and the promise. And also when we see it now, we think of the blessings that we'll be receiving. And so being the gold at the end of the rainbow was talking about the blessings as well as the heavenly treasures that we will receive in heaven, and when heaven comes to earth. And so it's basically matching because even the color was blue. It was originally blue because the blue was the color of Ireland. That's their color, blue. But they had an emerald isle, which was like the land, and it was really green and beautiful. So they changed the color to green. And the green is matching in with heaven as well, because even in Oz, they kind of show it subliminally. The Emerald City, how she had to follow the yellow brick road to get to the Emerald City, to get back to Kansas and to get back home. And so it speaks about the mansions in heaven, as well as emerald being one of the colors, emerald or jade being one of the colors of the crystals, the stones, gemstones that they had on the breastplate for the priest, but and also being of the tribe of Judah. So the yellow brick road was copying and mocking the gold floors in heaven. If you know about the scriptures, as well as know about the different prophecies, there's gold roads in heaven, also the golden gates. And as well as in the Bible, it speaks on God said the silver, the gold is mine, being like that the jury and all the gold and the riches to those. Even when Solomon came to him and he was like, I just want wisdom, he gave him all the gold as well, all the silver, the wisdom and the knowledge. And other scriptures as well speaks of the gold and its connection with the Most High. So that's why they said the gold. And then also, he said, where's me gold? And God's talking about where's gold, and that's how they mashed it up into there. And so the Twa people, the Pygmies, are still in certain parts of Africa. They were driven out of Ireland. Some of them might be still hidden in Ireland in certain parts. And I want to get back to the truth of Scotland and Ireland, because I broke down that Ireland is the name of a goddess, one of the goddesses I think that they might have been worshiping there. But Scotland as well is connected to the Hebrews in the Bible, the true melanated people of this land, of the world. And it goes way back into the Bible when King Zedekiah, he was the last king of Judah, and he had lost his kingdom because he wasn't listening to the Most High. He wasn't listening to the priests and the prophets and the prophetess at the time. So Babylon, this is when Nebuchadnezzar came to take over, and they put him captivity, and he had two daughters because he wasn't listening to the prophet Jeremiah. And so he had two daughters, and Jeremiah ended up escaping and leaving with his two daughters to Egypt. One of his daughters' name was Tia, I think, and the other name was Scotta. And the Scotta, she ended up going from Egypt and then to Ireland, and that's when she became the queen in Scotland and named it Scotland, and even had descendants being kings and queens of Scotland, and all those descendants transitioned down to King James, who wrote the King James Bible. So his bloodline was already connected into the different kings that are in the Bible. And we know those people were melanated, dark skin, or so-called black, because the Messiah is to be known from the tribe of Judah, and David was a king, and that was his great grandfather, and or great grandfather by Mary, who was her mother was Anne or Anna, and she was the sister of Jacob, as one of the Jacobs that transitioned down from the tribe of Judah. And then it was David, and then it was Solomon, and then his other sons. And so, then going all the way down generation, King James. And so it was a lot of mixing that was going on, but his heritage was still from that. And so Messiah was known as brown, having bronze, skin of bronze, and hair of wool. Bronze is a brown golden color, and he was in Egypt, hidden in Egypt. How is it that the Egyptians were dark skin of color, and he was able to blend in and hide from Hero, the Roman Greek, if he wasn't the same skin color? Okay, make it make sense. That is all a part of Africa. Even if it's Northern Africa, Western, Southern, Eastern, that is all a part of Africa, all a part of Europe. And the Moors ran in Europe at a certain amount of time. They were the ones that was mixed in with different Arabs to have Muslims and stuff like that. But they actually had the Europe was named after a African goddess, an African deity. And Africa wasn't even named Africa. It was Akabulan, I think, Akapalan or something like that. But yeah, that's how like all the different kings and queens and those who were in the Bible matches up to the chosen people, those who are melanated and those who are connected to Scotland through Scotta. And then that was the second daughter of the king of Zedekiah from the Bible. And then Ireland, named after a different goddess. And then the people in the Irish, the very first Irish people being dark-skinned with blue eyes. And even the color of the hair is significant to the Holy Spirit. And so because the Holy Spirit and the fire is red. And so whenever you see that red hair, it matches the passion, the power of the Holy Spirit. The red came from a gene in certain people in Asia. And there you have the connection with the Muslims tying in, or the Moorish empires tying in the Asiatic black man. They say the Asiatic black man because they know that some of the true Asiatic people were of dark skin and dark color, coming from that area first. And now it's that's what they identified as the Ireland, the Scottish, the red curly hair. You got hair of wool, curly hair. That means you have some type of dark skin melanin genes within you, some African genes within you to have that curly melanin hair, because the true Gentile Caucasians have that straight hair, like dog's hair. So like mixing it in with the African, because of all the colonization, all the marrying, mixing, people fall in love, different cultures, they have created that type of gene. And then, imperialism, oppression, slavery, going further down and down and down, becoming of lighter skin, having less melanin. And so even my brother, who's like light skinned, his whole head was red when he was little. So we would call him Redhead. And so even my sister, she's light skinned, and but our father is like dark skin. He's like even darker than me. And so she actually had different parts of her hair that was red and golden. And we was just like, wow, we was always thinking about how we all have these different colored hairs, how we can multiply into certain like different people, even being albino and having that gold blondish hair, having that red hair, even if you're, born from two Caucasian white families, you might come out dark skinned, or you might come out with some more melanin in you, and people be like, oh, that's not your child because he black, but don't know how the genes work, don't know how the mitochondrion, the X, the gene of the female actually works, and how it can take on multiple different nations, multiple different cultures, multiple different genealogies. And so when we start to awake, which we are awakened now, that's why you see multiple people coming out. It's not about the skin color anymore. Multiple people are coming to the truth of the Most High, coming to the truth of their God genes within them, coming to the truth of their heritage and their ancestry and everything, because it's something that's happened on a cellular level. And so the red hair matches into that as well. And even my nephew and my niece, they have blue eyes. Like, they have greenish, first they had blue, greenish, and even grayish eyes, and they both have so-called black mother and father. So yeah, I wouldn't put it past anything, but it's just blowing my mind that people are really discrediting the information that I brought in the first video, which it wasn't much, but it was the truth. And they want to act like it's not possible that the true leprechauns were of the Larricons, Twa, pigment people, and that they were really the first people of Scotland. Like, be for real, we were the first people everywhere. They've taken everything. They've made it their own. They've stolen generations, and that's why it says in the Bible, the first will be last and the last will be first. That's why it says everything will be put in order. That's why it says that when we went into slavery by ships a second time, because there's two times it was the 400 years, that it will be scattered around the world amongst the nations and will be gathered. And so gathering and coming with the saints in the cloud, being connected and finding out this truth on the internet. So they try to mock and blaspheme and do things, different rituals and sacrifices to hide the truth and stop it from coming together and being known and putting blasted all over the internet. You know how fast things go viral? And now it's being made a mockery. Now it's just about a holiday of wearing green and getting drunk. Like, it wasn't even about that at first. It was about the massacre. It was about the day he died. That's the death culture. Even with Christianity, it's a death religion, worshiping basically the dead, but not saying you worshiping the dead, but it's a death culture. And so it's worshiping him. So it was a massacre just in Pennsylvania. And so now they're getting drunk. It was because there's these parades going on today, like all week and everywhere. And people are going and getting drunk and acting irrational. Even some type of alcohol or an alcohol spirit, which is the alcohol spirit is a demonic spirit. And the beer came from, they say today you would drink a green beer and a coffee kind of drink, because that's what the Irish did, and they became over here in March as slaves in New York, and that's when the tradition just started. And so the beer, actually the Egyptians created the beer, and the coffee is one of the drinks that renovates and gives spirits and energy to the different ancestors. And it's like a spiritual connection with the coffee. That's why Starbucks got really high as it has been. And that's why a lot of people, they're addicted to their beer. They act real irrational on the beer. And why I'm saying this, my neighbor literally just chugged a thing of beer, threw it in his backyard. Then he got some cane, it looked like a cane, but it's like one of those. He can't even walk for real. The man walking to go get his cart cane kind of wheelchair, and he rolled it to the forest, and now he's walking to it, and now he's walking to the street. like just acting real crazy. I've seen people say the worst things and do the most demonic, disgusting things off of this cheap beer. It's not even funny. But there's also a god that or a deity that is a dwarf named Bess, and he also was like the leprechauns of the leprechauns, or the god of the leprechauns, and he's a dream Egyptian deity, and he's always laughing. I've encountered him many times in the spirit realm, and he will fight off your enemies or your nightmares and people who have children. He protects the children in dreams, and he's always laughing, and he asks for beer. And so a lot of people partaking in the ritual are giving to that deity today, and giving to that ancestor, and giving to their ancestors and stuff like that. And so yep, I think that's pretty much all I have with the video. But like, I had to bring it out because I was fed up. I said enough is enough. Like, y'all gonna get this truth whether y'all like it or not, because you think we don't know what we're talking about, but y'all the ones that's walking around here ignorant, not knowing what you're celebrating, not knowing what you're worshiping, not knowing the truth of things, the origin. And so we're always going to bring the facts. We're going to bring the spiritual power, the political confirmations, and the truth. And before I end this video, I want to talk about that massacre that was in Pennsylvania, because we just had a spring of natural disasters. 3 people died in Ohio. 3 people died in Kansas, I believe, from the storm. And then 3 people died being shot at in Pennsylvania. And this man name was Andre Gordon. There could be some significant with his name, but he shot his mother-in-law, whose name was Karen, his sister, whose name was Kara, and another man who was 25 years old. All names significant. If you watch my video, you know that they use Karen to blaspheme a name for the Messiah, a female Messiah, because like I said, praise the Lord in French is Louis Eternal. So they always use Louis. They always do something with Saint Louis. They always have these other different saints to try to discredit the St. Louis, which is another name for the Messiah, as well as Karen meaning Christ. Christ came from Kara, which means anointed Messiah, like how the Messiah was anointed and he was wrapped up during the time of after his crucifixion. And so they use Karen, Charles, Carol, Christmas carols, and all that to blaspheme. And so now they're targeting the women of God. They've been doing this for a minute, but they're really trying to kill off a lot of the women of God, a lot of the prophetess, a lot of the those who have the different Christ consciousness that they say in the occult, that know the truth of what's going on. And so they want to just shoot them up and kill them all. And so a lot of these massacres happen around these holidays for the different rituals and blood sacrifice. The other 3 people, that makes a 9, upside down is a 6. And so I'm going to be exposing a lot and speaking of a lot of the different massacres that are around these holidays and why they're doing it. They got him. Of course, I'm going to put the news in the video and how it also matched up with the different names as well. But all of this is orchestrated, not by mistake, done on purpose to suppress a certain amount of people, to suppress the people of God, to suppress the women of God, the men of God, get us to just, completely go against. And then even they know about the different scriptures in the Bible that talks about being overly drunken. There's they had wine and they had all this different other things, just little sips and stuff, but to be totally drunken and out of your mind and just, alcoholics, this is what these different holidays create in certain people. And they don't know the meaning behind it. They don't know the purpose of it. They're just having a good time. And so some of us, take things seriously and know the purpose behind things and the intention that you set, and how everything in this world and in this realm happens for a reason. And so you got to pay attention. So I'm putting light to the darkness and balance to the light. I pray that you and yours is protected and directed. Shalom and peace.